Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. After our adventures in, Interceptor Ace, I think last week, we're back into a more familiar fantasy, familiar high fantasy world as we start a new background campaign in Hero Realms. If you remember going through the Hero Realms campaign last year with the Wizard, this is going to be the exact same thing. The only difference is we're going to be using a different character. But as it's been a while since we played Hero Realms and started that campaign, let's set the scene for the first battle. We've got story right here for that. It's early evening at the Inn at Four Rivers, and the place is crowded with humans, elves, and a dozen more races, all eating, drinking, singing, and shouting. You're seated at your usual spot in the back corner, enjoying a horn of ale and wondering what to have for supper, when a crash and clatter from near the door turns your head. You see an upended table, broken dishes, and spilled drinks, as well as an angry-looking dwarf shoving an equally furious orc. You watch with only mild interest. Fights are common at the Four Rivers. Then you notice the smoke. Black, cloudy tendrils flow across the floor of the inn. Whenever the smoke touches a customer, their eyes go wild and they surge to their feet, weapons drawn. Uh-oh. You quickly realize the inn is under attack by a sinister enchantment. As fight after fight breaks out, your eyes track the smoke back to its source, a group of cloaked figures by the door. Their garb and markings call the Necros cult to mind, but there's something off about them. You rise and ready your weapon. Whilst seeking a path through the choking smoke toward the intruders, a barrel of ale smashes to splinters at your feet. Looking up, you find a trio of crazed customers charging toward you. You'll have to subdue them quickly in order to get to the source of this dark magic. And when we get there, play will begin with the player who has the master's seat to the right, which is the boss. Okay, good thing I've got a master step quick reference here. So let's meet our boss tonight, the Enthralled Regulars. Start with 50 health, they're encounter 1. The icons up here mean they need 3 mastery cards to level up. Well, this will make more sense when we get into a turn. I'll walk through the first turn nice and slow so I can explain this a little bit better. When the color of the card is blue, it gives them 1 combat and stun your highest defense champion. When it's green, 2 combat and discard a card. When it's red, straight 3 combat. And when it's yellow, heal 2 health. This time we are playing as the Ranger, who starts with 58 health, and I'll be tracking health for both of them on dials from Marvel Champions. The Ranger comes with special abilities of his own. Actually, this is his skill. His skill is Track. For 2 gold and expend, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may put up to 2 of them in your discard pile, then put the rest back on top of your deck in any order. And actually, before I forget, opening closet door, closing closet door. I'm going to grab some special exhaustion tokens so I don't have to turn those sideways. I'll keep them off shot until I'm ready, until I have need for them. And then the special skill is Headshot. I can sacrifice this, which basically means trash it. Draw a card, you may stun target champion. Nice shot. Well, hopefully we won't have need of that in this game. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself there. Always available. I should probably mention that if you played Star Realms as well, this is basically going to be the exact same game with a fantasy coat of paint. And I've played plenty of Star Realms solo on the channel. Always available is the Fire Gem, similar to the Explorers in the aforementioned Star Realms. Always available for 2 gold. You get 2 gold when you play it, or if you sacrifice it, you get 3 gold. You get 3 combat. Looking at our starting marketplace, once I reorganize the Fire Gems. First card in the starting market is a Bribe for 3 gold. You get 3 gold when you play it, and as an ally ability with another blue card, which is Guild, I believe, put the next action you acquire this turn on top of your deck. Well, no, an action that's a little bit hard to see, but there's an action keyword under the name of the card. toward the top. It's actually fairly small text and hard to read. So that's the way we'll know that. Next card up in the starting market. Intimidation is another action for 2. Get 5 combat, and if you play this as an ally ability with blue, you get another 2 gold. Next up, Miros Guildmage for 5 gold. Champion Human Mage. Exhaust him to get 3 gold and an ally ability for 4 combat with a guard strength of 3. Now, there's going to be another type of champion that will have a silver backing behind that. What that means is silver champions can be ignored. Guards, however, have to be taken out first. Think similar to Outposts in Star Realms, where you have to take the outposts out first. Next card up is Master Wayan in yellow. Expend him for 3 combat, plus 1 for each other champion you have in play, and a guard strength of 4. Last card in the starting market. Tyrannor the Devourer for 8 trade in red. Expend him for 4 combat, and you may sacrifice up to 2 cards in your hand and or discard pile. Ally ability with red to draw a card. It would be helpful to draw my starting hand up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think that's everything pretty well set up, so let's get right into this game. Okay, I will play out my hunting bow, which will give me 2 combat. You're the prey. Then I've got 2 black arrows, which will each trigger a draw card separately. If you have a bow in play, draw a card. So we'll draw 2 extra cards. Okay. Then I'll play out a total of 4 gold, including my Horn of Calling, which says the next champion you acquire this turn costs 1 less, which actually will be enough to give me Miros Guildmage, which goes to my discard pile, and then I'll use my 4 combat to hit the Enthralled Regulars for 4. They start at 50 health. The Enthralled Regulars are now down to 46, just like that. And then we'll immediately replace this in the market, so we will find Rasmus the Smuggler for 4 gold. This is what I was talking about earlier with the difference on the champions. We can expend him for 2 gold. And blue, put the next card you acquire this turn on top of your deck as an ally ability. So we can move all of this over to the discard pile. 1, 2, 3. Then we'll draw back up. This is a traditional deck builder where when your deck is empty, you'll shuffle your discard pile and make it your new deck, and you'll draw back up. I've been playing a lot of Astronauts lately, where you don't shuffle your discard pile. So admittedly, coming from Astronauts to Hero Realms is a little bit jarring, at least in terms of how it deals with your discard pile. So it's going to take me a little bit of getting used to. 4, 5. Okay, that's not complete garbage. So now we go into the master turn. We need to flip over the top card of the monster deck. We will find, or the master deck. We'll find a Temporary Insanity. This is where the colored symbols come into play. So I'm actually going to grab, I want something to be able to track attack that they've got. And I'm going to use a spin down. Actually, I'm going to grab my spin downs because I'm probably going to need those at some point. So this is where this is where the master card comes into play. So we check the color in the upper left corner of the card. We see down here on the ally ability, essentially, it gives them a straight 3 combat. And then I'll see if I can zoom in a bit so you can see this. But there's a 4 corners, like not a crosshair kind of thing, but there's almost like spikes coming out of it. What that means is that's the preferred color ability, and I'm trying to remember when that triggers. If the color is white instead, that gains its favorite effect, and those are spikes. Okay. So now coming back to, so now let me get a spin down out so I can track the master's attack. So it's got 3 from that. And then Temporary Insanity says, for each nearby player, sacrifice the top card of the market deck. Make a villainous attack against that player with combat equal to the card's trade cost. Ignore blocked off players. If you're blocked off or there aren't any available nearby players, attack your area instead. So we'll sacrifice the top card of the market deck. And yikes. That'll be a 5 trade, so we're going to hit for 5, plus another 3 is going to be 8, which will bring us down to 50. Ouch, that was a big hit. Okay, no minions in the area to worry about, so we are all set there. This turn we've got a straight 6 gold to trade with. So that's going to give me Rasmus the Smuggler, and we replace that immediately with Wolfform for 5 trade. It's a wild card. 8 combat, target opponent discards a card, and for if you scrap it, target opponent discards another card. Discarding works a little bit differently, works a little bit different in Hero Realms when you're playing solo, but I'll explain more about that when it comes up. And then I'll grab Intimidation for another 2. I'm building for a lot of blue in this game. Replacing that is List the Unseen for 6 trade. Expend for 2 combat. You may sacrifice a card in your hand or discard pile. If you do, gain an additional 2 guard strength of 5. Then all of that will move over to the discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alrighty. Next card from the Master's deck we will find. Oh joy, it's a green. Or it's a red card, I should say. Okay. Biting Imp minion. It's got a non-guard strength of 4, I should say. When you play a red card, stun this minion, which is basically just discard it. Expend to discard an item. So he gets 3 combat from that. You do the effect, put it into play. Minions in the active player's area expend. So actually he comes right into my area to cause me problems. He'll then expend, which I will note with one of my Arkham Horror LCG exhaustion tokens from LCG, which means I have to discard an item. That's actually kind of gross. And I'm going to discard a Horn of Calling because I don't think I'm doing much with acquiring this turn anyway. I'm probably going to have to knock that imp down, and then I'll get hit for another 3 to go down to 47. Which is unfortunate, but no help for that. So now he'll expend, so now he'll ready, and now we're all set to go into my turn. I'll start off by playing the Hunting Bow again. Then I've got 2 black arrows, which will let me draw 2 cards. One of which will force a shuffle. That spin down's gone for now. Alright, so we drew 1 card, and now we've got to draw our second. Okay. Then I'll play out Miros Guildmage, and I've got 2 gold. I'll expend Miros to give me another 3 to bring me up to a total of 5 gold. Now what am I doing with that? I think I'm going to grab a wolf form. I want to try to get this game over with as fast as I can. And then replacing that will be an Elven Curse for 3 trade. It's another green card. 6 combat, target opponent discards a card, green ally ability for another 3. And the 4 combat will go to knock that imp down. Alright, he will unexhaust, and I'll draw back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. We'll see what the Master draws next. This should be a Mastery card, I think. Yep, and it's white. So Mastery doesn't happen there, which means we put that over by the Master's card. He gets 3 combat because the Mastery card was white. Right? Yes, attach it to the Master. 3 combat, unfortunately, is just enough to take out my guard minion, but at least it won't hit my health at all. And that's it for the Master's turn. Coming into my turn, I've got Rasmus the Smuggler, which is a non-champion with 5 defense. So as long as we keep just getting red cards, as long as we keep getting just red cards and not enough combat, we could ignore that theoretically. But I will play an Intimidation out, which will give me another 5 combat, and then both ally abilities will trigger on the Intimidation and Rasmus, where Rasmus says I can put the next card I acquire on top of my deck. And I have 3 more trade to go up to a total of... let's see, I want another exhaustion token here. Actually, I've got one right there. Okay, so... Alright, so he exhausts for 2 intimidation triggers to give me 4, 5, 6, 7. And put the rest back on top of my library. The top 3 cards, apparently I can't count. Well, I'm going to spend 2 of my gold and exhaust my track to look at the top 3 of my library, mostly because this will force a shuffle. And then I can put 2 in my discard pile. I can put up to 2 in my discard pile, and the rest back on top. And I can put the next card I acquire this turn on top of my deck. So I will still have... So after this, I will still have 3 trade left. Looking at that, ooh. Yeah. I think we're going to discard the gold. And then we're going to put the wolf form and the hunting bow back on... Wait a minute. Back on... Oh, hold on. I looked at the wrong... I put the top 2 before I shuffled aside. So let's do that again. Actually, nope. The rest of this was the discard pile. Alright, now we've got that straight. So 2, 3. I think... I think I will take... I think I'll leave all 3 of those on top. And then I'll grab the Elvish Curse. The Elven Curse, yep, we'll put that on top. And then we'll replace that with... Death Touch for 1. It's a red card. 2 combat, and I may sacrifice a card in my hand or discard pile. Red ally ability for 2. Actually, I've got 7 trade because I used 2 on track. 3 on... the Elven Curse, so I've got 2 left, which I think will be Death Touch for 1. And then if this is a 1 cost, I'll grab it as well. It is a 1 cost Spark. 3 combat, it's another green card. 3 combat, target opponent discards a card, ally ability in green for 2. And then replacing that will be another Bribe. We saw that, we have that in the market already. So I think we didn't deal the attack yet. The enthralled regulars are down to 41, though. Alright, those will move to the discard pile. I will draw back up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least 4 of these I know. And that was mildly disappointing, but not terrible. Alright, next card for the Master's turn is green, or is a yellow and a charging drunk. Unaware, nearby players deal double damage to this minion, 4 health, and he expends for 4 health as well. But more importantly, the color is yellow, so the enthralled regulars will gain 2 health. Back up to 43. Oop. Help if I unexhaust. The charging drunk will then expend for 4 combat, which he'll hit me with down to 43. Because 4 would ultimately just bounce off of Rasmus. And he can just ignore that. So the charging drunk will unexhaust. He's ready to go. Then coming over to my turn, I've got the Elven Curse, which lets me deal 6 damage and target opponent discards a card. That will be the Master. And the way you handle discard, instead we look at the top card of the Master's deck and choose to either leave it on top or discard it. So coming off the top of the Master's deck, we've got a second Mastery, and that's a 1 combat, and the blue effect is 1 combat and stun my highest defense champion. I think we're going to discard that, because I'd rather not have that come out. A, it's going to make him get closer to leveling up, and B, I don't want to just lose my highest defense champion, which is also known as my only champion. Then I'll play out the Black Arrow, which I don't have a bow and play to draw a card, so I don't get to take advantage of that. Then I'll have a total of 4 trade, and if I want to acquire a champion with that, it'll cost me 1 less to do. Double damage for 7. I will only need to aim 2 at the Charging Drunk to take him out, and the other 5 will go at the Enthralled Regulars to bring them down to 38. Then I'll expend Rasmus to get up to 6 trade, which unfortunately is going to leave me just short of being able to get Tyrannor. But let's see. Let me think about this for a minute. So I've got a total of 6 trade. I can still get Master Weigh-In for 3. So I think I'll start with spending 2 of my gold on track to fix my draw a little bit. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think we'll go with discarding the gold and leaving the other 2 back on top. And then for 4 left, I will grab Master Weigh-In. And if this is a 1 cost, actually that's costing me 3, so if this is a 1 cost, I can grab it as well. Krythos, Master Vampire, is not. 6 defense champion, expend. For 3 combat, I can sacrifice a card in my hand or discard pile. If I do, gain an additional 3. Everything else will move to the discard pile. Everything I expended will ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll flip everything over and shuffle up. Five. Okay, now we're getting somewhere-ish. Alright, we'll move up to the Master's deck here, see what we find here. We will find a Crazed Bartender, which is a green. The effect there is going to be 2 combat and discard a card. Yowza. So 2 combat and discard a card. I don't want to discard any of these, quite frankly. I guess I'll discard the Black Arrow, even if I don't like that. Then the Crazed Bartender will expend for another 8 combat for a total of 10. 5 will be enough to smack Rasmus down, and then I'll get hit with the other 5 to bring me down to 38. Which means we're even on the game right now. So he'll expend, and I need to keep an eye on 8 combat. I don't want to keep getting hit with that every round. Fortunately, I won't have that problem, though. So we'll go with the Wolf form to start. That'll be an 8 combat right there. And then discard a card. We'll take a look at the top of the Master's deck and find another Charging Drunk. We were able to take this guy out pretty easily, so I think we'll leave that on top. Then we've got a Miros, a Hunting Bow, and a Death Touch for another 2. I'll exhaust Miros to give me another to give me 3 trade. All right, we'll start with the 8 combat to wipe out the Crazed Bartender. Then we'll go with 4 combat to hit the enthralled regulars with that, down to 34. Then for 3, I think we'll take a bribe. Next card from that is Torgon Rocksplitter for 7, a green card. Expend for 4 combat, and target opponent discards a card with a guard strength of 7. Yow. Alright, Miros will unexhaust. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, all gold. And unfortunately, we know that's a... Yikes! I probably should have discarded that because I forgot the effect was blue. So it does just stun my highest champion and gives him 1 combat plus 4 when the Charging Drunk expends for 5, which will hit me down to 33. That was a bit of an oversight on my part because I completely forgot about the blue effect up there. But I think we can take out that... Actually, we can't take out that Charging Drunk because I've got 5 to trade with, but fortunately 1... I could pop my headshot here if I want to, and... do I want to on the Drunk? I don't think I need to, but I will grab Liss with the 5 exactly. And then coming out in the market deck, we have Influence, a red card. Action for 2 gold, gain 3 when you play it, and scrap it for 3 combat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to say my next order of business is definitely taking out this Charging Drunk. But let's see what card comes up next. We've got another Charging Drunk, and this one's red, which gives him a straight 3 combat. Both of those will then expend for 4 combat apiece. Down to 11, I'm down to 22, and both of these drunks need to go toodaloo right now. I didn't bother exhausting them because that was it that I was doing on my turn. We'll start off by playing out Master Wayan. Then we'll play out an Elven Curse for another 6 combat. Top card of the Master's deck is a Green Mastery, which is 2 combat and discard a card. Let's not. I will discard that. So far I've got a guaranteed 9 combat. I'll go 10, and I've got 3 to buy with. I'll go ahead and expend Master Wayan for 3 more combat. I'll aim 2 combat each at taking out each of the Charging Drunks. Actually, I wouldn't be nearby to that. So I've got to aim my full 4 combat at that. So that's 8 combat to take both of them out. But I've got 2 more left, which I'll have to hit the regulars with. And then for 3 trade, I think I'll use that on track so I can try to fix my draw. And that'll force another reshuffle. Let's actually pay attention, Phoenix, because we put the top 2 cards aside. All right, 3. So we'll look at these. We'll bin the gold and put the other 2 back on top. Okay. Then Master Wayan will unexhaust, as will track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. That's not great, but it's not completely untenable. Master's next card is a Yellow Mastery, which is going to be just a straight heal 2, bringing the Master up to 34. So on the bright side, it looks like we're going to get a turn here of big damage. So we'll start off with the Wolf form for 8 trade, or for 8 combat, and target opponent discards a card. We'll find Temporary Insanity. Let's discard that. Then we'll play out the Spark, which will trigger the ally ability there. Next up, Broken Tables and Chairs were blocked off. That would give him an attack of 3. We'd have to expend a champion to clear that. I think we can deal with that. We'll leave that on top. I'll just flip it over like so. And it's a white, so that's giving them 3 combat, which is not going to be enough to take Wayan out. Then we've got an Intimidation, a Black Arrow, and a Horn of Calling, but I don't think we're doing much for 1 combat anyway. We'll exhaust Wayan to get another 3, so we'll have a total here of 8, 11, 13, 18, 21. Which will actually more than cut his remaining health in half, bringing the regulars down to 13. And then I'm not doing much with 1 combat, or with 1 trade. So all of this will move to the discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not exactly what I wanted to see, but probably workable. Then we'll bring the Broken Tables and Chairs down. The 3, as I mentioned, the 3 combat from the preferred ability on the Enthralled regulars will just bounce out off of Wayan because he's got a guard strength of 4. So nothing happening there. Then we'll play out a pair of champions. I'm going to have to move this out of the way a little bit. So we've got Rasmus and Liss. I'm actually going to use the spin down now for my combat. So 2 at least. Actually, no. Hang on. I got to decide how I want to do this. So I've got 2 gold, 2 combat. I definitely want to... So being blocked off means... Let me bring this card back up for a second. My area being blocked off means I can't fight, heal, or target outside my area, and other players can't fight, heal, or target inside. I can expend one of my champions to clear it. I am expending one of my champions to clear it. The only thing I'm trying to decide is which one I'm expending. And I think I'm expending... Rasmus to clear it. So now I'll expend my other 2 champions. I was going to say I might just win here, but I don't think I do. I think I come close, though, so I'll expend Wayan for 3 plus 1 per champion I have in place. That'll be a total of 5 combat. Then I'll expend Liss for 2, and I will sacrifice a gold from my discard pile to gain another 2, so that'll bring me up to 9 combat. Plus 2 from the hunting bow is 11, which I'll smack the enthralled regulars with that to bring them down to 2, and now I probably do just win the game on my next turn. Let's see, as for 2 trade, let's expend the track just to make sure of that. Just to make sure nothing crazy is going to happen. Oh yeah, we are plenty fine there. I'll discard the gold and put those 2 back on top. Then all of this will move to my discard pile. 1, 2, 3. We'll shuffle this up. Four, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, just making sure I have the right number of cards in hand. And wow, sure didn't want to give me the right cards I needed. Anyway, next up for the Master, we have the Red Mastery, which is enough to level the boss. Flip the Mastery card over, or flip the boss card over, move the Masteries to the discard pile. So let's see if it's got any instructions when it levels up. I don't believe so. 3 combat because of the red. I don't think there was anything here. It probably would specify on the card itself. So no instructions for leveling up. Actually, it's 4 combat for the red ability, which will be enough to knock out Wayan, but it's definitely not enough to stop us from winning this game. So coming back over to my turn, yeah, we'll play out Miros. We've got a Spark. Next up, it's going to be a Charging Drunk, which doesn't really matter what I do with that because we've already got enough combat ready to win the game. Death Touch, and then 4 trade total. We'll expend everything just to see how high we get our combat in this turn. On this turn, that'll be 2. Well. Okay, so we've actually got a lot of gold here. We've got a total of 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 gold, which 7 would give me which 7 would give me Tyrannor, and then I'd have 2 left, with a bribe coming out, but 2 would give me an influence. Next card up would be a taxation for 1, a yellow card. 2 gold when you play it. Ally ability with yellow, heal 6. Alright, gold is all cleared out. I've already done the discard pile, the discard from the Spark. So we have a total of 2, 5. Oh, and the next card is actually Tyrannor would go on top of my deck, because I have an ally ability for Rasmus. The next action would go on top as well, so it would go like so. But not that that's going to matter, because we've got 2, 6, 9, 11 combat, which will hit the enthralled regulars down to -9, and we will win this encounter. So we can read the text below and collect rewards. With the regulars and several of the mysterious cloaked figures now unconscious at your feet, you take a moment to relieve the cloaked villains of their weapons and treasure. Then, with a quick gulp, you down the remains of your drink and rush out of the tavern, giving chase to the remaining cloaked figures. Rewards. Shuffle the 5 elixirs together and randomly deal 1 to each player. Put the random remaining elixirs back in the box. So now we need to find the elixirs, which those are not. Ruins of Thandar treasures. Here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we'll deal out these elixirs. Actually, we'll shuffle these elixirs up. And then that's the elixir that we'll get. The rest can go back to the box. And here we'll find, we get the Elixir of Strength. You have this item for the next encounter only. It begins play in your inventory. Get 3 combat. I thought I brought a pen in here. I did. So I'll make a note of that. That is the Elixir of Strength, encounter 2 only. All right, coming back here. Nope. Easy does it. Each player finds a class treasure. Each player shuffles the treasure cards from their class, draws 1 card, and adds that treasure to their personal deck, replacing a card if applicable. Put the remaining treasure cards back in the box. Still not the treasure cards. Ranger. Here we are. Let's see. Class treasures. Which should be these cards. I'm just checking the cards to make sure these aren't the... Okay. So I've got the class treasures right here, which will give this a shuffle. And then that's the class treasure we get. Class treasure we get is a honed black arrow. This will replace a black arrow. 3 combat, and if you have a bone play, draw a card. So I will deal with that. Actually, I may make a note of that. Okay. And we'll go to chapter 3 the next time we do this. We'll go to chapter 3 the next time we do this encounter. But that will do it for this playthrough of Hero Realms. As far as what's scheduled on the channel, Saturday Mystical Munchies will continue out of the official Diablo cookbook in the afternoon with the entree, Necromancer's Broiled Fish. On a related note, Saturday morning, because Mystical Munchies is going to be an afternoon upload this week, we'll be doing a morning stream we'll be doing a Saturday morning stream of Stratomatic Baseball. I'm aiming to start that by 8:30, by 9 a.m. at the latest, but I'll probably be starting that. I should be able to start that closer to 8:30. Don't hold me on the time on that, though. Sunday, we're going to be continuing the fall campaign in Astro Knights Eternity, and next week, we're playing Age of Innovation. I haven't decided yet if that's going to be a stream or if I'm going to be recording that one. I'm leaning toward recording Age of Innovation, just because that one's a little bit on the camera cutty side, but we'll see what I think as the week gets closer. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.